Hello and welcome back again to Green Valley Zoo. And today, I'm afraid it's another lake. I say I'm afraid because I appreciate that this is the third video in a row where I've put in a lake. And I don't know, I guess I'm on a bit of a lake addiction at the moment. I've just enjoyed doing them so much, and I have these areas to fill in that they're just crying out for a large body of water, and so that's what I've done. Yeah, I'm not going to apologise for it because I'm really enjoying doing it, and I think the results have been really good. So today's is, again, it's different, so at least it's a different style. As the title would suggest, it's hippos, the big hippos, not the pygmy hippos, large hippos. So again, it's a slightly different style. I wanted to do a ride in this one. I wanted one of the boat tour to go through it. So I wanted it to be quite a large lake. I wanted the tour to go through it, and I also wanted some islands so that the tour could go around the islands. I also wanted some viewing platforms. So different to the seal, I didn't want pathways going across the lake because of the tour. It would look too crowded. So I wanted a ring of path around the outside which you can't see the habitat from, and then from that path I wanted some viewing platforms that stick out a small way into the water. You'll see what I mean later on. So those are my aims for the area. As you can see, there's a lot of landscaping that I needed to do first. It took me a bit of work to get the islands sorted. And of course, it didn't need to be too deep because hippos don't really need deep water. They need to go underwater, but they don't swim, hippos. It's a common misconception that hippos can swim, but they can't. What they do, they walk on the floor of the water. So they can't just go from shallow to deep. They need it to be a gradual slope, so that they're literally just walking underwater. And they can push off and they can kind of float in the water, but they don't actually swim, technically. They don't swim. As you can see, that one there, just walking. So yeah, so they need plenty of shallow areas. So you can see around the outside of the lake, I've tried to put in lots of shelves, lots of relatively shallow bits. And obviously they've got the islands that they can get up onto as well. So you can see here I'm just putting in the boat tour, pretty straightforward, didn't need to do too much with it. I do make the station a bit bigger so I could fit 3 boats in, I think. And I wanted this, again, I wanted to do something different because I don't want to just repeat the habitat over and over again. So obviously the flamingo lake was a very different style to the seal lake, and this lake is very different to both of them. So this one, I really wanted to make it look overgrown and swampy. And again, it's not necessarily where you would find hippos in the wild, but I had a vision basically, and my vision was to have this. How do you call it? It's. I think it's no, I can't think where I've got an image in my mind basically of I think it's bits of the Amazon where you get where it floods and you have all the trees which like the mangrove trees, where all their roots are very tall and spindly, and they go right down into the water, so the trees are literally growing out of the water. But then as the tide comes and goes, all the roots are exposed. And that's the natural environment that the trees want to grow in. And that's what I wanted to do here around the islands. Not around the whole area. I didn't want to block the outside. So you can see I'm doing my usual rock work around the outside. But around the islands in the middle, you'll see, I really wanted them to look like this image that I had in my mind. And the result actually is really good. I'm really happy with how it looks in the end. And you'll see my technique. Basically lots of the mangrove trees, and lots of roots and dead trees, angling the trees so it looks like some of them are sort of fallen into the water. You get that a lot in places where you've got very raging rivers, because they can, the soil gets loose, and then you'll get the odd tree that just falls over and collapses, but doesn't necessarily die. It will continue growing, but it will grow sort of in the water, growing out sideways, and it will look a bit random. And that's the sort of look that I was going for. I wanted that sort of ancient treeland look around these islands. And what I also, you see here, I put the platforms in around the outside there, so they're very simple, just basic round platforms. I do put some shelters on them, which you don't see me build here, because it was actually something that I built in one of my practice zoos that I just copied over. And here you see I'm just doing a basic structure for this tour. Really nothing too clever here, just a basic wooden structure, a little bit of detailing, because again I knew I was going to make it look very overgrown. I really wanted it to look like it had been there for a long time and the trees and things had kind of taken it over. So some very basic square rock work. It's not rock, it's wood. Planks, planks, beams, all this sort of thing. Very simple. Bit of a roof. I saw that the gap along the edge here was way too big to actually step over and get into the boat, so I thought it needed these planks put across as a step, because you don't want people just falling in the water, do you? It didn't look very, very safe to me, so I did put that extra step in. And I went with this green roof because I thought if I'm putting greenery down, it kind of needs to blend in a bit. I didn't want it to stand out too much, so I thought this green roof suited it quite nicely. Again, just really, really simple stuff. Fences and some basic beams. It doesn't need much more than this. But then obviously the greenery that I add to the building is what makes it work for me. Hopefully you agree that it looks nice, and it looks sort of like it's been there a long time and has been taken over by nature, is the idea. So I'm really happy actually with this whole area. I had an idea and it actually worked. It keeps happening. I'm obviously getting better at sort of planning beforehand. So what I'm tending to do now, instead of just winging each habitat as I go along, I am trying to just plan them a little bit more before I start building, just so I have a bit of an idea of what I'm doing. And hopefully that makes for an easier job for me, because it means that I'm not having to redo stuff all the time. So generally I get stuff right first time. I say right, obviously I get it how I want it. Whether you like it or not, I don't know, but hopefully you do. I certainly am happy with the results so far. I do like to use these contrasting colours. There are quite a few nice wooden beams and planks and posts in the game, so I do try to vary the colours and the shapes of all these beams and things. I think it's a simple thing, but it adds to a building if you've got contrasting shapes or colours. So yeah, generally I try to do that as much as I can. Yeah, really not much to tell you about this building, to be honest. I probably should cut some of this. It's a little bit repetitive, if I'm honest. But there we go. I think we move on in a minute. Obviously I just copy and paste this round, because what I wanted the roof over the boats to be clear, because I wanted some of the greenery that I put in, I wanted to sort of be growing over those gaps in the middle. I think I start on that No. So here we go. So this is my island idea. So these mangrove trees are fantastic, and they're perfect for what I had in mind. So you can see all the exposed roots. And so all I did, I just worked my way around the edge here, and you just keep on layering them, the different shapes. You raise some up, you lower them down, you put them inside each other, because it doesn't matter. They need to look really busy, really congested in there. Here you can see you're just angling one or two so they look like they've fallen over. Very simple stuff, but it really, in the end, looks really effective. One there just lying completely down in the water. I do put a couple of different types of tree in as well. I can't remember what they are, but just to add a bit of different foliage in there. You can see I'm experimenting a bit here with different bushes. I wanted some greenery. I wasn't too sure what to go with. I found this tree, so this one goes in because I thought that was a really nice sort of swampy looking tree. The foliage was good, but also the shape. You can see a lot of the branches, and I thought it looked really nice and swampy. So I'll go with that. And then this one as well. Again, it was quite a contrasting green, but not over the top, so just a couple of them dotted in, nothing too much, just one or two, and it just adds that little bit of contrasting foliage, and I think it's just what it needed. I think it looks really nice, just that simple combination. And then I go with this this Scaevola bush again. I apologise for the pronunciation, I don't know how you're meant to say that, but this works really nicely under the water because you can see the different greens in it. So I do a layer of it in the water there. I also do sink some of it into the bank, so it looks like it's growing out of the water and slowly sort of growing up the side of the cliff as well. You see I'm trying different things in the water. I tried this bamboo, tried turning it upside down. I thought that might look interesting, but in the end I don't use that. I might use that in another enclosure at some point, but unfortunately, those aren't traversable, so I didn't want too many of the bamboo around. I was just trying to find something here that could go in the water. I thought the tamarind maybe, but no. So then I just thought, okay, well, let's just thicken up the roots. So all these different dead roots, they're great pieces. You just keep on again, just adding them in, just layer upon layer upon layer, filling in the gaps. You can see here it really doesn't matter where they go, they all blend together, and they look very natural in the end. You just keep on sinking them in, and eventually it gets to the stage where it looks really good. So a bit of a cut there because I did a lot of that. I did that around all the sides of the islands, so you'll see that in the real-time bit. There's some rock work obviously going on here, and I put the mud path up here so you can see it from the exit, and yeah, I thought that was quite a cool little spot for the mud bath actually. I had a lot of issues around the outside here trying to get areas where the hippos could get up to get to their treats. I do of course realise there that the keepers couldn't get to all the areas around the outside, so I did have to move some of the food enrichment items. I'll show you about that later on. You can see here I've done a bit of decorating around the building. Just use some of the what's it called? It's the wisteria, but without the flowers. And then again, just putting some of these trees on. And yeah, just again, just layering stuff up. It works really well. I wanted trees in the water. You'll see this a lot in the Amazon and places like that, where you get trees that survive in water and they literally just grow straight in the water. And I thought that would look really nice here. So I put some oak trees, I think some ash possibly, actually just growing in the water, and it looks great. I know it's not realistic because in this country they wouldn't grow in water like that, but it works. They in this situation I think they look really nice. I did find one more tree here. This one, look at that looks brilliant. It looks like it belongs in the water, in the swamp. It's at just the right height where all the main branches are really just poking out the water. So I thought that looks really nice. And then around the outside, I didn't want to decorate the rocks too much, so I just went with some of these acacia, the acacias. Anyway, this is nearly the end of the time lapse, so I'll see you in just a moment. Okay, so here we are back with our hippos. And as you can see out the front, I've done a rather large sign. It's a little bit in your face. It is a bit over the top. It's probably way bigger than you would actually see in a real zoo, but I don't know, I kind of like it. It stands out, it highlights. I mean, this is obviously, so far, this is the only ride in the zoo, so I think they'd try to make quite a big deal out of it. And so that's my sign. Nice statue out the front there as well. And obviously I've continued the theming with some of the mangrove trees. Pretty simple, but yeah, it does what it needs to. Look at that. Here's a hippo having a mud bath. So as you come out, this is the exit from the ride. You get to watch a hippo having a mud bath. I did put this extra barrier in here because I thought, you know, you are very, very close to the hippos here. Realistically, you wouldn't get this close, and this barrier would be an awful lot stronger, because hippos are incredibly strong animals, and they can be incredibly vicious animals as well. So it isn't exactly realistic, this, but then to be honest, none of this is, because you wouldn't have hippos in the water when you have a boat ride, because hippos are really dangerous. Look at that. They throw these massive tyres. I've got one of the tyre toys on this island here, and they keep launching it out and into the water. But yeah, do you know what? For the sake of this zoo, we can get away with whatever we want, so it's fine. So as you come out, you get to watch a hippo having a mud bath. Why not? Or is he going to get up? Is he going to perform for us? Oh, look at him. I love the way they've actually put the dirt on his back as well. He actually looks dirty. I think that's because he's in the mud bath. I don't think that's what they normally look like. Could be wrong. Oh look, he's having a poo as well. Lovely. Look at that. Great animation on the poo there. Oh look, it all disappears in the mud bath. Oh, it's just going to be sitting in there waiting for the next hippo to come along and roll in it. Oh, that's lovely, isn't it? And off he goes without a care in the world. Okay, so I'll show you my my little shelters that I've done. So there are 4 of these. Ignore the large box there. I've put that there because I've built the next habitat is in there, and I wanted to hide it because there's no way I could avoid showing you that while showing you this habitat. So this shelter here, what was it, 275 pieces. It's actually more of an African themed shelter, but I really like it. It's something that I built for one of my practice zoos. Really simple, just logs and these nice African themed posts, all put in and then just copied or pasted into that shape. And it fits perfectly on one of these large, if you do an 8-meter path and then make it into a circle, that's exactly the right size for this particular shape and size. So this is on the workshop if you wanted to borrow it. This shelter is on my workshop. I believe my Steam workshop is under the name of Dream Padlab, I believe, which is the name I usually use in things like this, and that is a bit of an odd name, but it's an anagram of my real name, which you're not going to find out, I'm afraid. Not yet, anyway. So yes, so that is out there if you want to use it, and I've used it on these because I think it fits nicely. It looks pretty cool, and to be honest, I didn't want to just waste time building another one when I already had a perfectly good usable shelter. So you come in here, you've got your information board, you've got a couple of benches and a bin, but mainly you just stand and watch, and you can look out and see all the hippos doing their stuff out in the habitat. And yeah, I think it works really nicely actually. I'm very happy with this. You've got an island under here, and they do come up on this island as well. Alright, so let's go down here. Let's have a look at the ride. So this building, I think you saw me build the building in the time lapse, but you didn't see me do all the greenery. So this is the wisteria without the flowers on that I've put all over it. So sort of coming up here and over the top. So when you're underneath, it looks like it's all growing up over the top here. Put some bits and pieces inside as well. So what I did here, you can see this bit. It's sort of multi-layered wisteria. So I found if you had it on this side and then you copied it over to this side, it looked really gappy in the middle, so I've put sort of 4 layers of the plant in here, just to thicken it up and make it actually look like it is growing on there properly. And then I've got some of the trees on here as well, like the mangroves here on the corners. You've got another one of these large ones sticking out on the side here. It just creates that effect again of it being overgrown. A couple of the dead things in the water here, whole dead trees and stumps and stuff. Yeah, I think it works quite well. You know, it does create that effect that it's been there a while and everything's sort of overgrown. And that's what I've done on the islands. So this is the one you saw me doing, but I have added to it. So some of the dead trees, the logs, a couple of fallen logs in here as well. And I've got lots of these roots as well, and this bush that I've sunk into the banks here as well just makes it all look really overgrown. So if you get a sort of a side-on view here, if you've ever watched those documentaries of people, oh look, you've even got little realistic touches. I've got some boats hidden in the undergrowth. Actually, there's one stuck in a tree over here, and then I think over here you've got another one here, sort of entangled in the roots. I think if you've ever watched those documentaries of people sailing down the Amazon, this is what a lot of the edges look like, where the banks are collapsing and you've got trees sort of falling into the water. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how it came out. So I did this on all of the islands. Excuse me, there we go. Some of them, what I've done, like here, I've left a gap because you've got the viewing platform behind you. So if you're on this viewing platform, you want to be able to see onto this island. So I've made it appear like they've actually purposely cut these trees back here to allow you to view the hippos that are up on the island. And obviously from the boat as well, as it goes by, you want to be able to see the animals if they're up there. So that's the reasoning behind that, which I think works quite nicely. Another couple of little sort of realistic touches I'll put in, just some crates here sort of stuck in the undergrowth like they've just been dropped off a boat and floated to the shore and got all overgrown. I like doing little touches like that. It doesn't really do anything or mean anything, but it's, you know, a little bit of whimsy. So yeah, so all of the there's another one of these things in the water. I have to keep resetting these large tyres because once they're in the water they don't seem to use them anymore. So you have to keep on putting them back on the land. So yeah, you see the hippos, they do come up on here, and these tyres don't last long, they get tossed all over the place. So yeah, so there's enrichment all around the sides. I put these acacia trees around the side. I didn't want to do anything with the rockwork. I liked the rockwork as it was, so I've left the rocks largely just bare. I don't know. I just wanted it to look different. Basically, I'm well aware that this is the third lake that I've done in a row, and so I wanted each one to stand out. So obviously with the seals, I made the edge very overgrown. Then with the flamingos and pygmy hippos, I only put a little bit of greenery on the rocks. But in this case, I thought these rocks looked really nice as they were. So I didn't feel the need to cover them up. I wanted it to be fairly open at the sides. I think because I've done it very overgrown in the middle here. So you, obviously with the trees in the water and all the overgrowth on the islands, I didn't want it to just be more of the same on the edges. So that was my reasoning behind that. I think this hippo's about to get run over. Oh no, he's okay down there. I'm quite lucky really because the hippos can go underneath the tracks here. So it works out quite nicely. So the ride doesn't actually block them from getting anywhere around the habitat, which is pretty convenient. Now, is there much else to show you? What did I do at the entrance? Oh yes, I had some issues because originally I'd put some of the food enrichment items on the edges without realising, of course, that the keepers can't get to them, so they weren't being used. So I had to try and just put the food ones here at the entrance. But I had a lot of problems with the waters. What I tried to do, I took the water out and tried to re-landscape here. So I had a big area of land to put some food enrichment on. But every time I did it, I couldn't put the water back. And I don't know why, but it was really annoying me in the end, so I just gave up. So I've just got the one barrel there. And then what I did, I just put these rocks down here to create a small pathway so the keepers can come across this path. And I've got one of the feeders just here. So at least they can get to this, and the hippos can, although they don't seem to. Certainly in the last 12 months they haven't, but at least it's there. As you can see, the keeper can get to it at least, so I'm pretty sure the hippos will use it at some point. I'm sure they can get to it. Let's have a look. Yeah, they can get all around it, so they can get to it if they want. They just choose not to at the moment. But that's fine. It's up to them, isn't it? The trees in the water here, I think this is an oak. Oh no, it's an ash. I think I did put an oak. Yeah, I put an oak over there. You know, they're not trees that would actually grow in water, but I thought they looked good, and that's all I cared about, really. And I mean, these ones look the best. There's like this one with the boat in it here. This was just a perfect tree. What is it? Oh, it's one of the acacias, of course it is. Yeah. It just looks very swampy. And actually the height that it grows at just looks right, just coming out of the water like it does. And the same with this one here, really looks nice coming out of the water. So yeah, I was more than happy doing that. So let's just get a bird's eye view so you can see it's a big area, very big area, but I'm really happy with how that's come out. I love these 4 shelters. I think they look really nice, and the overall design of the area I think has come out really good. Obviously I filled in the edges here, so like this one here I continued the moss stone that I used over here in the garden, and then down this side I've kept it really bare. I've just edged the path all the way along here, and obviously just put a few of the acacia trees there, and I'm probably not going to do anything else in here. You know, not every square inch of the park needs trees or bushes or plants or anything. You know, there would be areas that are just left open. So I think that's my plan for there, and obviously I don't know what I'm doing on the outside here yet. Yeah, again, it's another variation on the lake. You know, having the ride on there, and obviously then having these 4 viewing platforms around the outside. It's something a bit different. So you'll be pleased to know my next project is not going to be another lake. I've done 3 now, and that's enough. There will probably be another 1 or 2 in the zoo, although the zoo is getting quite large, and I really need to update my computer because it's starting to lag a little bit. So I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to stay in this zoo. I may have to start another one. We shall see. But yes, my next project is already going behind here, and I'm not going to tell you what animal it is. I'm just going to say that it involves some large domes. That is as much of a spoiler as you're going to get. So I will leave you there. Thank you so much for listening to me waffle on about hippos. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in the next one. Until then, stay safe, and thank you very much. Bye for now.